Okay, so have you ever seen those YouTube videos that promise like crazy amounts of money for doing almost nothing?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, like make $500 a day just by breathing.
Right, exactly. Or turn your cat into a millionaire with this one weird trick.
Yeah, those. So today we're diving into one that caught my eye.
Oh, what is it?
It's called, get this, make 283-day day simply using Google Translate.
Okay, so using Google Translate. Interesting.
Right. It's by this guy, Chad Kimball, and it's all about this side hustle where you're
Yeah.
basically translating YouTube videos into other languages.
I mean, it makes sense. There are a ton of YouTube videos out there.
Right. Exactly. And like only about 10% of the world speaks English, right?
Yeah, so you're talking about tapping into a massive market.
Huge EE. And he even name drops Mr. Beast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, saying he said on Joe Rogan's podcast that most YouTubers don't bother with translations. So I guess there's a gap there.
There's definitely a need for more multilingual content. I mean, even just subtitles.
Totally. Okay, so let's dive into this this hustle a little more. Chad says you can basically make bank by reaching those non-English speakers on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's only about 10% of the world, like I said, speaks English natively, so that's a huge audience.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many views that could be.
It's a valid I mean, think about it from the creator's perspective. You're already doing so much filming, editing, promoting, all that. Adding, translating into that mix, it's a lot.
Right, yeah. Like, who has the time?
Yeah.
So that's where this side hustle comes in, right?
Exactly. And it's a skill you can develop and use even beyond this specific hustle.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's say you're watching Chad's video and you're like, all right, I'm intrigued. How do I do this thing?
Right. What are the steps?
Exactly. Well, the first thing is tools. And Chad recommends a bunch of free ones. Obviously, Google Translate, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, but then he also talks about this this AI tool called 11 Labs.
I've heard of that one. It's for like text-to-speech stuff, right?
Yeah. It basically makes the AI voices sound, more human.
Oh, okay. So that's how you get around having to do voiceovers.
Exactly. And then the last tool he suggests is ChatGPT.
Oh, for generating transcripts of the videos.
You got it. So in his mind, it's pretty simple. You just take those 3 tools, boom, you're a YouTube translator. But
there's got to be more to it than that, right?
Right. I mean, Google Translate is notoriously, well, sometimes it gets things wrong.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Sometimes hilariously wrong.
Right. And even with 11 Labs, the AI voices, I mean, they've come a long way, but
it's still not the same as a real human voice.
yeah, exactly. So you're probably thinking, okay, if you wanted to get serious about this, you might need to invest in some better, more professional tools.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do really high-quality work, you probably want to look at professional translation software, maybe even hire voice actors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, for starting out, free tools are a good way to test the waters.
For sure, yeah. You got to start somewhere.
Okay, so everyone wants to know, what about the money? Let's talk about that. Chad throws around some pretty impressive numbers. I mean, we're talking like $8,500 a month. Even mentions Mr. Beast's Spanish channel, which he claims brings in like $80,000 a month. What do you make of all that?
I think, you always have to take those big flashy numbers with a grain of salt, especially online.
Right.
Like, those are probably the best case scenarios,
The outliers.
Exactly. It's going to depend on a lot of things, your skills, the languages you work with, and even just how much time you put in.
So you're saying don't quit your day job just yet?
Right, exactly. Don't go buying that yacht just yet.
Well, maybe a small boat.
Maybe a rowboat.
Right.
But yeah, it's important to be realistic about the earning potential.
Okay, so let's say you're still interested. You're not scared off by the realistic outlook. What does the actual process look like? How do you actually translate and dub these YouTube videos? So Chad breaks it down like this. You transcribe the video, then you translate that transcript, then you use 11 Labs to generate the AI speech, and then you use some free editing software, he recommends CapCut, to sync it all up with the original video.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, it's a logical process.
It seems pretty straightforward, but
it's probably a lot more complicated than it sounds.
Right.
I mean, syncing the audio and video, that can be tricky. And if you want it to look professional, you've got to be really precise.
Right, like matching the lip movements, all that.
Exactly. You need some technical skills for that.
So it's not just translating words on a page.
No, it's definitely more than that. You need some creativity, an eye for detail, and a lot of patience.
So there's a learning curve.
Definitely.
It's not just, translate and upload.
No, definitely not. There's more to it. And even if you're using AI, it's still going to take some time to get it right.
So it's important to keep that in mind before before you jump into this thinking it's going to be easy money.
Exactly. Set realistic expectations.
Okay, so you've got your tools, you understand the process, you're ready to like hustle. But how do you actually find these YouTubers who need their videos translated?
Right, that's the big question.
Where do you even start?
Well, Chad has some ideas about that. He recommends focusing on smaller channels.
Smaller channels?
Yeah, like those with around 2,000 subscribers. His thinking is they're probably more eager to grow.
I see. They haven't hit it big yet.
Exactly. And they probably don't have the budget to hire like a big translation agency.
Right. So they might be more open to working with freelancers.
Exactly. He even recommends a website called Channel Crawler.
Channel crawler. Okay, what is that?
So basically, it's like a search engine for YouTube channels.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, instead of just searching through endless videos, you can use it to filter channels by things like their subscriber count, what kind of content they make, what country they're in, even what language their videos are in already.
Oh, wow. So you could like specifically search for, let's say, Spanish language gaming channels with, under 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a much more targeted approach. And then get this, Chad's last tip is just find their email address. Like, go to their About page. Usually it's right there.
So just reach out directly.
Exactly. Just go for it. But I'm thinking, how do you actually convince these people to hire you? I mean, I bet I get tons of emails.
Right. Yeah. So what makes your pitch stand out?
That's a great question. I think that's where your communication skills really come into play.
Okay. So we're going to have to dig into that a little more. But first, I think we need to dive into this channel crawler thing and see how it actually works.
Sounds good to me. So this channel crawler, it's actually pretty cool. I mean, I've never used it before, but just looking at it now.
It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah. You can search by keywords like, gaming or beauty or whatever.
Okay, so you can find channels that are in your, like, niche.
Exactly, yeah. And then you can filter by all these different things, like subscriber count, obviously, that's what Chad was talking about.
Yeah, finding those smaller channels.
Right. But you can also filter by engagement rate, like how many comments and likes their videos are getting.
Oh, that's smart. So you're not just looking at the number of subscribers, you're also looking at how active their audience is.
Exactly, because, a channel could have 1 million subscribers, but if nobody's watching their videos, it's not really worth your time.
Yeah, true. So let's say you've found a few promising channels, you've got their email addresses like Chad suggests. What's next? What do you actually say in that email?
Okay, so this is where things get a little tricky. You can't just send a generic email like, hey, I'm a translator, hire me. You need to make it personal.
Personalize it.
Yeah. You got to show them that you've actually watched their videos, you know what their channel is about.
So like mention something specific about their content.
Exactly. Like, I really loved your recent video about, whatever. Or I noticed that you're trying to reach a Spanish-speaking audience, and I think I can help you with that.
Okay, so you're not just saying, hey, I can translate. You're saying, hey, I can help you grow your channel.
Exactly. You're selling them a solution, not just a service.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh.
And then I guess you got to give them some info about yourself, right?
Oh, for sure. Like your experience, your rates, maybe a link to your portfolio or something.
A portfolio, good idea. But wait, rates.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about that. How do you even know what to charge?
Right. Chad mentioned some prices, but we've already established that those are probably like best case scenarios.
Yeah, the outliers.
Yeah. Honestly, pricing is one of the hardest parts of freelancing. You don't want to undersell yourself, but you also don't want to scare people away.
It's a balancing act.
It really is. And it's going to depend on a bunch of factors, like what languages are you working with?
Right. Some languages are probably in higher demand than others.
Exactly. And how much experience do you have? Are you a beginner or are you a seasoned pro?
That makes sense. And also the complexity of the video, right? Like, is it a simple tutorial or is it like a feature-length documentary?
Totally. And how long is the video? All those things are going to factor into your price.
Okay, so there's no magic formula.
No, unfortunately not. But a good place to start is to research what other translators are charging. Like, there are websites and forums where you can find that kind of information.
So do your homework.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just pull a number out of thin air. See what the market rate is.
But also, don't be afraid to, value your time and your skills.
Absolutely. You're bringing something valuable to the table. You're helping these creators reach a wider audience.
Okay, so you've found the clients, you've pitched them, you've agreed on a price.
Yeah.
But there's got to be more to it than that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's the actual work of translating, but what about things like managing projects, dealing with clients, all
Yeah.
that stuff?
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other side of freelancing. You got to be
Very
organized.
organized, yeah.
You need a system for tracking your projects, your deadlines, your invoices.
There's definitely more to it than just translating.
For sure. It's like running a small business.
Right, you're not just a translator, you're an entrepreneur.
Exactly. And, that can be exciting. You're your own boss. You set your own hours. But it also means you're responsible for everything.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. But, the rewards can be great too. You get to work with creative people, you get to learn new things, and you get to be a part of something bigger than yourself.
That's true. Okay, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, AI. Chad's video mentions this tool called Rasa that supposedly automates the whole process of translating and dubbing videos.
Yeah, that caught my attention too. I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, right?
Right. Like, is this the future of translation? Are human translators going to be out of a job?
That's the big question. I think it's worth taking a closer look at this AI stuff and seeing how it all fits into this whole side hustle.
Okay, let's dive into the world of AI and see what's really going on. Okay, so AI, it's everywhere these days.
It really is.
Like, is it going to take over the world? Are we all going to be out of
Yeah,
jobs?
right. The robots are coming.
Well, specifically, I'm wondering about this Rasa tool that Chad mentioned.
Oh, yeah, the one that supposedly does all the translation and dubbing for you.
Exactly. Like, how does that even work?
Well, from what I understand, it uses like really advanced algorithms to analyze the video, transcribe the speech, translate it, and then generate the AI voiceover.
So it's like a one-stop shop for YouTube translation.
Pretty much, yeah. And it claims to be like super fast and accurate.
Okay, but how accurate can it really be?
That's the big question. I mean, AI has come a long way, but can it really capture all the nuances of human language?
Right, like the idioms, the sarcasm, the humor.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of cultural context. Like a joke that works in one language might fall flat in another.
So you're saying a machine might not get the joke.
Right. Or it might translate it in a way that's just like awkward or offensive.
Okay, so what about the voiceovers? I mean, I've heard some AI voices that are pretty impressive, but they still sound, kind of robotic.
Yeah, they're getting better, but they're not quite there yet. There's a certain like naturalness to human speech that's hard to replicate.
Right, like the inflections, the pauses, the emotion.
Exactly. And those things are really important for making a video engaging and relatable.
So it sounds like this Rasa tool might be good for, like, basic translations. But if you want something really high quality, you probably still need a human touch.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. AI can be a helpful tool, but it's not a replacement for human translators, at least not yet.
Okay, that's good to know. So let's say someone is listening to this and they're thinking, all right, I'm intrigued by this whole YouTube translation thing, but where do I even start? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I'd say do your research.
Research.
Like, really dig into this side hustle. Watch Chad's video, read articles, maybe even talk to other translators.
Get a sense of what it's really like?
Exactly. And then I'd say start small. Don't quit your day job just yet.
Right. Dip your toes in the water first.
Yeah, maybe try translating a few short videos for free just to get some practice and build up your portfolio.
Okay, so get some experience under your belt.
Right. And then once you feel confident, you can start reaching out to potential clients.
Using Channel Crawler to find those smaller channels.
Exactly. And remember, it's a hustle. It's going to take some time and effort to build up a client base and start making real money.
So it's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to put in the work and you have a passion for languages, it could be a really rewarding side hustle.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. We've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about Chad Kimball's YouTube video, the potential of this side hustle, the tools you can use, the challenges you might face, and even the role of AI.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has. So listeners, if you're looking for a creative way to make some extra money and you love languages, maybe give this YouTube translation thing a shot. You never know where it might lead. And until next time, keep jiving deep.